Hi, I'm Hannah.
And I'm Charlotte.
And welcome to the Purple Sector.
So today we are joined by Callum, and his webcam isn't working, so that's why you can't see his face.
So I run a channel called F1DiaryTV. If you haven't seen it already, go subscribe. We analyse Formula One in the most serious, analytical way possible. And all the videos are 100% serious, nothing but technical analysis and numbers.
Yep, and I can vouch, and I'm sure Hannah can vouch too, that his videos are very funny. So we'll put all the links in the description below. So Hannah, do you want to kick us off?
I think first things first is qualifying. One of the things I did enjoy seeing was the fact that Kimi finally got out of Q1. I think the fact that he ended up 14th, not bad considering that Antonio Giovinazzi actually was last. I think Kimi is outdriving him yet again. And I think it's quite an interesting thing to see because the rumours are swirling that Kimi is going to retire at the end of the season. And I think if Kimi still continues to outperform Antonio, I think Antonio will lose his seat as well.
Honestly, I think he will. I think we've been saying it for the past few years now, that Kimi needs to retire. And to be fair, it was a big shock to me when he was let go by Ferrari that he actually went to Sauber and he did that of his own accord, obviously as Alfa Romeo now. But I do think that his whole body language around the paddock this year and everything, he does seem to have properly had enough. And you hear him on the team radio, complaining. He always seems to be in quite an angry mood, which he's displaying emotion. It's Kimi. This is so unlike him.
I just think, to be honest, the future of Alfa's moving away from Kimi. Kimi was brought in to try and kind of give the team some stability, help it grow. But I think Antonio kind of would do that more, but I think Antonio now is at high risk of losing his seat because of how well the Ferrari Academy drivers are doing in Formula 2.
I want to see Callum Arlott in one of them seats, so
I agree.
So I'm just going to say something that I think is something worth mentioning, and Alex finally outqualified Pierre. Obviously, he had a much better qualifying, getting into Q3, and I think he was a bit more relaxed this week. And it was nice to see him get quite high up in Q3.
He's very much having a sketchy kind of qualifying performance. I think at the moment he's still way off Max. I don't really know why. I think there's arguments about whether the car is tailored to Max, which we all kind of know it is. But he does need to continue putting in them performances because Pierre is flying in that AlphaTauri at the moment.
He really is, isn't he? I think what Alex needs at the moment is just a weekend where nothing goes wrong. Obviously this weekend we'll probably get onto in a little bit. But he's had incidents since the very start of this season. I think he just needs a quiet weekend where nothing happens, just so he can level his head out and get his confidence back and then push on for a win later on in the season, or a podium at least.
Yeah, 100%. And I just really hope we do see that because he is a really good driver, and I think a lot of us do really like him and do rate him, so it'd be nice to kind of see him be up there and hopefully battling for a podium like he was in Austria. So Callum, do you want to talk about quali or go straight into your race point?
I will talk straight about quali, and one person who isn't going to be getting a podium anytime soon by the looks of things is Sebastian Vettel. Unfortunately, bless his little cotton socks. He qualified down in P11, which we've seen him do a couple of times this season, and you just have to ask, what on earth is going on at Ferrari at the moment with Sebastian Vettel in particular? We all know, of course, the car it's rubbish, to be quite honest. The engine is just completely has no power. I think it's now the least powerful of the four manufacturers, which is insane. And I think almost that Ferrari have done almost like what Red Bull have done, and tailored their car more towards Charles this year, at least in terms of the driving style and how it likes to handle. And so as a result, it's almost like Seb's been left out in the cold. I don't know if you guys have any opinions on this as to how poor Seb, how it's all gone so wrong for him.
I think mainly it's a mess of Ferrari's own making. The fact that they chose to announce that they were letting Seb go before the season started meant that you've automatically outed your driver from kind of the collective. I think it was in the Sky Italia interview where Seb basically said that his opinion doesn't really matter anymore, and it should matter. Is he's a 4-time world champion. no one can ever take that away from him. He very much, I feel like he's probably the most disrespected driver on that paddock, because at the moment everyone thinks, oh, he's messing up, he's doing all this wrong with the car. They said there was an issue with the car. He said there was something wrong with it races ago, and they didn't believe him, and it was only later on that they changed the chassis. But I just think Ferrari are hopeless. I think that the fact that they're saying, oh, we probably won't win a race now till 2022. This is Ferrari. You have been in this sport for decades. You are probably the biggest team on the grid. You probably spend the most money. You should not be as farcical as you are. I'm hoping with kind of performances like Seb had in the race, being able to stretch the car out and things like that, and also the fact that he just doesn't respond to radio messages practically anymore, and he's just had it with them.
He had to respond to the radio messages during the race because, as it turns out, like you say, Ferrari, there is something very, very wrong at the top at the moment in Ferrari, I think. And that translates down to the strategy department. And basically Sebastian Vettel having to do his own strategy call during the race. And I'm sorry, that is completely unacceptable from the Ferrari pit wall. If the fact that a driver has to do that whilst concentrating on the race at the same time just shows the lack of communication or the lack of preparation for the race, I think.
I just can't believe it. Like, he physically asked them, what do I need to do? And they said, okay, copy. If I went to you, oh, Hannah, what time are we filming today? And you went, okay, copy. I'd be like, and I'm not driving a fast car, you know what I mean? Yes, I agree. They really messed him up this week. And I think just the fact that you can hear how angry or like disappointed he is over the radio just shows it, really.
I think all in all that this weekend was a positive one for Sebastian, though, because obviously he finished P7. He could have finished P5 if that strategy call never happened, if that mess up with the strategy never happened. So I think that Seb, as a person, as a driver, has really proved that he has still got some fight in him today, especially after Charles's unfortunate issue. Obviously, I think it was an electrical issue with his engine, which locked the rear axle and sent him into a spin. But I think Seb has proved that when he's given that support by the team that Charles has, he can still step up to the plate and make the car work and get a decent result for the team. But it's just not happening at the moment. And you can see that there is something very unhappy at Ferrari at the moment. And I think Ross Brawn described it as a very messy divorce that Ferrari need to handle very carefully.
Seb has very much shown his experience in Formula One. For example, the fact that he's doing all the maths, working out the tyre situation whilst driving, that to a team, especially, I'm going to say, Aston Martin, would be incredibly valuable because he's showing that level of racecraft and experience you will need to build up a manufacturer team.
He hasn't forgotten how to drive a car over the brake from the last race. So there is obviously something seriously wrong there. It's just like they're just like chipping away at him. And it is actually really sad, but hopefully Aston Martin see.
So for me, the interesting thing for the races was Red Bull. So kind of the tale of two cars for me. Max Verstappen having the better strategy call, although his radio messages were a bit intemperate, to say the least. He was getting increasingly agitated on the radio, which surprised me considering how confident he seemed to be with the strategy last week. And the fact that Red Bull basically said, "Oh, it's fine." Whereas, to be honest, if that had been Alex on the radio getting that naggy, they probably would have had a few choice words to say to him. Comparatively, Alex Albon, what strategy they were trying to put him on, I do not know. The fact they put him on the hard tyres, I believe he's the only driver to have used them in the race, because everyone else went for the soft and medium strategy. And they couldn't even stretch them to the end of the race, so he ended up having to have an extra pit stop. Also, when they pitted him the first time, it was still early comparatively to the other drivers on the softs. And also, they blocked him out in traffic, so he spent all the race practically trying to get through the same people, ruining his tyres. And I just think you can very much tell that Red Bull, they'll probably keep Alex for now because they don't have anyone else to put in. And I don't think their egos would allow them to put Pierre back in. However, Max is just dominating that team now. He is very much the Schumacher of Red Bull. no one, I don't even think Alex could win the next 6 races on the bounce, and he wouldn't be able to top Max's mentality within the team and position.
I think I heard it said somewhere that Alex has almost been used as a sacrificial lamb. Particularly, it was shown in the race on Sunday. I think they almost put him on the hard tyres and did it early, almost to see if they would work for Max. Obviously, it didn't end up being as viable as it could have been, and he dropped back because obviously he was released into traffic as well, which didn't help. I think it's a mix of both. I think the team are making Alex, obviously they're putting on these funky strategies that aren't exactly effective, and that's giving him results that perhaps aren't as great as they should be. Add in some bad luck, and that's brought Alex's mentality way down, and sort of that will affect his performances, and it's almost like a negative feedback loop that's going to and fro at the moment, which is why I mentioned earlier that I think he just needs a clean weekend with a solid result, no incidents or anything like that, just to get his confidence back.
If they could have one seat, it would be Max. And yeah, Max is a very good driver and he is dominating over Alex, but I don't feel like Alex has been given that opportunity yet. It's just, I just find it really sad because I just seeing him in his post-race interviews and just literally he looks so broken and it's so horrible. Like, he's a good driver. I think hopefully, like you said, Callum, hopefully we'll get a good weekend for him soon. No issues, good strategy, and he'll thrive. I really hope so.
Thinking, should we move on to your point, Charlotte?
Okay, so my point is about Lance Stroll, and I just want to say I think this weekend was very good for him. Obviously he qualified up there with Sergio as well, and I think Racing Point over this weekend have done very well. Amidst all the drama that's happening, and obviously Sergio having that positive test, he's back, and you could tell that he's a good driver. He's like, that should be his seat because of just how well he performed this weekend, obviously minus the penalty for the blue flag situation. But yeah, Lance's start offline was absolutely amazing. Like, I just couldn't believe it. He was up there fighting with Valtteri. And then he kept in a solid position throughout the whole of the race. I was watching Otmar talk in the post-race interview, and he said that one of them wasn't meant to be fighting. They wasn't meant to be fighting each other, but Lance still took that place back from Sergio, which he would have got anyway with the penalty. But for him to finish P4, I think it shows that he is a good driver and he's not just a pay driver, if that makes sense. He's
definitely better than a lot of people give him credit for. I have my own opinions of Lance Stroll, but there is no denying that this season, since Racing Point have got a pretty competitive car, that he has sort of shown his own a little bit, and he is starting to show some of the talent that he showed in junior formula. And like you said with the start, Charlotte, that was so brave, throwing it up the inside into turn one there. That was a move of a driver with proper talent, and I think he's really done himself proud today. Obviously, on the road, Sergio did finish ahead of him in the end, but again, he was there not far behind, so that he could benefit from the penalty. And you need to be in that position in order to capitalise when luck falls in your favour like that.
I think the situation with Lance Stroll is interesting. The fact that he's been plagued by rumours of being a paid driver his whole career is pretty much it's going to damage your confidence in yourself. But seeing those moves, I was just like, hats off to him. It was like, the fact that the way he overtook Valtteri, he basically cost Valtteri any hope of winning that race the moment he did that. Because I think even Valtteri was very much taken by surprise. He knows very much now he's probably actually still fighting for his seat. There's the whole likelihood of would Lawrence Stroll fire his son. However, if you've seen some of the interviews, he's a lot less confident about it. I think he knows he has to prove himself because shareholders wouldn't have it that an underperforming driver is in the team. I think there's also a level of confidence in him that I've not actually seen before. He seems to be a lot more relaxed with the situation. And I think the one thing people forget is I believe he's the second youngest driver on the grid. Comparatively, he's a lot more experienced than them because he's been in there since he was at Williams. And I think I've seen season by season, he's grown in confidence. He's grown to believe in his own ability, and I think he was hampered by the fact that the car he was in Williams wasn't that great. but also the fact that he got maiden podium back in Baku several years ago, is I'm really hoping to see him back up there again, fighting. I want to see that Racing Point taking the fight to Red Bull. I think it's going to happen one race a season, and I want to see more of his racecraft, because he managed that race brilliantly. But seeing him do a few more dicey moves, maybe getting a bit dicey with Max Verstappen or Alex Albon, and just proving to everyone actually why he deserves to be there, because there's 20 seats on that grid, and to say Lance Stroll doesn't deserve one of them is to do him a massive discredit.
And I think Spa will be very interesting to see, because if they get a good qualifying, that first corner, remember last year, Lando literally got up to was it P4 on the first corner? So it will be good to see if they qualify well in Spa, just how well they can do on the first lap. And I want to just put a little side note in about Lando. I just want to say his defensive moves against Charles, I thought he would have been overtaken like that, but he did hold out quite a long time.
He really made that McLaren the widest McLaren that had ever been made in the history of mankind, didn't he? And I think it just proves his talent, really. You know, I had my doubts about Lando. I think he's a really likable guy, but coming into his rookie season, I had my doubts about him, and obviously he had some bad luck last season. But I think this season he's really starting to mature into a very fine young driver.
Should we go on to our predictions for the Belgian Grand Prix?
I think a Merc 1-2 is almost inevitable at this point, so I won't predict that. What I'm going to say is Alex is going to be much closer to the chasing pack. I think Alex will end up in P4, because if you think about it, last year Belgian was his first race in the Red Bull after obviously Gasly was dropped and he was promoted up to Red Bull, and he put on a stunning display when he was in that Red Bull to impress in his first race for the team. So I'm going to predict that Alex is up there in P4, and I'll say max P3.
Yeah, it's interesting because I had to look at what happened last year, whereas Charles won. Not going to happen this time round, not with that car. I'm going to say Lewis will win. I genuinely think no one can stop Lewis now. I'm going to go Max second, and I'm going to go Albon third. I think obviously the solid showing last year. I think Valtteri will probably get caught in an incident. There's got to be an incident on that first lap. Statistically, there's always an incident at Belgium, and I think you're going to get a few trigger-happy drivers going into Eau Rouge, and somebody's going off.
I want George Russell on the points, and I also think Alex will do very well, if his strategy and he doesn't get any bad luck. And I was actually watching Kira's video earlier, and she predicted Lando to be up there in qualifying, and I actually agree, because he loves Spa. He's so good at Spa, as you could see from last year. So I'm hoping it's going to be the Mercs 1-2, we just know that, for qualifying. And then I'm hoping Lando P3 or P4. I just want him up there on the second row. And then, Hannah, like you said, I think Lewis will win it if he's not caught in a first lap incident. I don't feel like Valtteri will even be second, probably Max. And then I just want Lando on the podium, so I'm saying Lando. So yeah, very interesting and very different predictions this week as well. Okay, well, thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget Callum's links will be all in the description below. Like, comment, subscribe on him, and like, comment, subscribe on us. This is the Purple Sector.
Au revoir.
Bye.